Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
And welcome into the Sunday Journal. I'm your host, Matt Pitta. Thanks for being with us today on this edition of our program. We get together each week to talk about issues facing Cape Cod, the islands, and all of southeastern Massachusetts. Welcome into the program. Well, coming up this fall, it's really one of the big, exciting events. It's kind of a marquee event it has become over the many years here on Cape Cod, the Seaside Le Mans. It is the race for the Cape Cod community, and it is coming up more quickly than you can imagine, so we wanted to talk about it right here on our program. We brought in several of the folks who were involved in this year's Seaside Le Mans. It's just an exciting F1 style racing experience that takes place here on Cape Cod. We brought in folks from the Davenport Companies and also one of the organizations that is going to be benefiting from this year's Seaside Le Mans. I'm going to introduce everybody so you can say hello. That's all you get for now, and then we'll come back around. First of all, we'll start out and introduce Beth Patkoske, who's going to start us out. Beth, I got it right?
You got my name right.
Awesome.
Good job.
Beth is with, of course, the Davenport Companies, and Beth, you're going to kind of lead us off in the discussion in just a moment. We want to say hello to everybody. DeWitt Davenport is the CEO of the Davenport Companies and the founder of the Seaside Le Mans. DeWitt, always good to see you.
Great to see you, Matt.
And one of the beneficiaries this year, the Seaside Le Mans, is Kamar Choice. We've been talking about this organization quite a bit in the news recently, and it is appropriate that they are one of this year's beneficiaries. We have in studio with us the executive director of Kamar Choice, Fiona Jensen. Hello, Fiona.
Hello there.
Good to see you. And David Troutman, the board chairman of Kamar Choice. Hey, David.
Good afternoon.
We're one big happy family here in the studio, all five of us. So thanks for coming in, and we'll be speaking with all of you as we go along here through the Sunday Journal. But the Seaside Le Mans, Beth, let's bring you in, kind of give the listeners the big overview, the big picture of what the race for the Cape Cod community is, how this all got underway, and what's going to be happening coming up very soon.
Well, we're excited that this is our 15th year with the race, and what it is essentially a 4-hour endurance race of Formula One racing karts, driven by different businesses and professionals, individuals from the community, and it's all to raise funds for organizations right here on Cape Cod. That's one of the restrictions. To become a beneficiary, you have to have all the funds stay here on the Cape to help our neighbors, and the organizations that are chosen are in the areas of health and human services, social services, and children's organizations. And what happens is the event itself takes place over at Mashpee Commons in down two of the streets by the Organic Market and the Trevi Cafe, and then around the parking lot. It's a quarter-of-a-mile track, and there's actually a bridge that goes over the track, allowing pedestrians and spectators to come over into the infield, which is where a lot of the activities are happening. We have children's activities, we have all of the beneficiaries represented, we have food and beverage, music, and that's where all the teams are as well. And the way the race is constructed is that it's a 4-hour endurance race, and we have up to 20 teams that participate. Each team has 6 drivers who alternate throughout the 4-hour race, and after 4 hours we determine who's made the most laps in that time, and they're crowned the winner.
And of course, all these businesses that get involved they're paying a fee to get in. That's where a lot of the money's coming from, to get these businesses involved. And it's really become kind of a really bragging rights over the years, hasn't it been, for a lot of the companies that have been involved for a long time.
We like to say there's a spirit of friendly competition, but some people take it more seriously than others. But, we have so many companies that have been involved for the full 15 years, which is exciting. And each year we have new companies that join in. We have several new ones this year as well. And I think that once they participate and can see what a fun time they can have raising money for people here on the Cape, that they like to come back. And a lot of folks do it as a team-building exercise for their company. Others do it with their friends. So they see it as the closest thing they can do to becoming part of a race team. There's driver changes. There's refueling. We have a practice session several weeks before the race, so people are familiar with it. So they really get the full experience of racing. We work with F1 Boston, who comes down, and they have all of their personnel monitor the race, and they have the computerized timing system, so it's down to the hundredths of a second.
So they actually ship their cars down from F1 Boston for you for the day. What's the date of the event?
It's Saturday, September 12th.
September 12th. And, of course, is there still time for companies to get involved? Can you still get a race team together at this point? Is there still time for that?
We usually say no to no one. So if you show up the day before and you want to donate money, we will find a way to get you into a race team.
Even if you have to put somebody in someone else's car, just get in the race.
Right. We can always add in an extra card if we need to.
Let me bring in DeWitt to talk about the company's background to this. DeWitt Davenport is the CEO of the Davenport Companies and the founder of the Seaside Le Mans. So, DeWitt, this is a pretty significant commitment really for any company, and you folks are really just all in with this from the beginning. So basically, why? Why are you guys so committed to this race for the community?
Matt, our team wanted to do something for the Cape community. As you know, there's a lot of walkathons, bikeathons, fishing tournaments, golf tournaments. We wanted to do something different and put our capital and our management skills and our energy into a one-day event. And we came up with this Formula One kart race called the Seaside Le Mans 15 years ago. This year, 1 year alone, we will raise $600,000. Incredible amount of money.
In 1 year, $600,000.
We're over $5 million since day one. And when you think about the impact that it has on organizations, such as you'll learn a little bit more about this morning, it's phenomenal. It's bringing people together for one common cause. When we did it the first year in downtown Hyannis, one individual said, "This is about unity for our community." And that's why we do it, Matt. We underwrite everything, and 100% of what's donated goes back to our community.
DeWitt, a lot of companies, could just write a check for something, but this is more than just writing a check. You're putting on what it really has become kind of one of the marquee September events, because not only for the companies that like to race in it, but you do get really big spectator crowds now for this.
About 10 or 15,000 is what's been estimated, and it brings our people together. There's a tremendous amount of pride. From 5 o'clock in the morning when we start building the track all the way through to the end of the day, the amount of smiles on people's faces, it's all good.
Now, of course, you have a lot of agencies that are going to be benefiting this year. How does that come about? DeWitt, each year, do you come up with a new list? Do organizations come forward to the company and say, listen, we follow what goes on with Seaside Le Mans. Could you consider us? How does that work?
There's a 12-member committee that determines the beneficiaries. Beth talked about the three categories: health and human services, social services, and kids. And we do have people approach us and ask if their organization could be considered. That's number one. Number two is that there's a vetting process that has to take place, because we want to make sure that the dollars are going to be used for the purposes intended and would be a tremendous asset to the community at the end of the day. So the 12 folks get together, and I will tell you, it is very, very difficult to pare down the beneficiaries. A lot of thought goes into it, and I can tell you that there is a consensus at the end of the day. Some people may be a little frustrated that their organization that they supported didn't make it to the list, but there's always another year. It's a fantastic process.
This year we have 5 organizations, yes. Beth. So we have the Cape Cod Maritime Museum. They have school outreach programs. Independence House, of course, which we're familiar with, promoting safe and healthy relationships and helping in the issue of domestic violence. Cape Cod Healthcare and their Heart and Vascular Institute this year. Caitlin's Closet, which provides essential clothing for children. And our guest here in studio today, Kamar Choice, school mindfulness programs, which has been in the forefront for a lot of folks this year. So, Beth, before we get to our other guests, just talk a little bit generally about your 5 recipients this year and your thoughts about that.
Well, I think that each of them kind of ties together. A lot of the things that the community is facing can be prevented by starting people off on the right foot. And I think that Kamar Choice, going into the schools, and we'll hear more about that, as well as the Cape Cod Maritime Museum, which is our 5th organization. And they are doing STEM programs within the schools as well. And Caitlin's Closet really provides the very basic essentials. And that's a really grassroots, newer organization. And they work really closely with the schools and with foster care systems systems and really provide the basics, make people feel more confident about being in school, the kids, and having stylish clothes to wear. And I think that makes a lot of difference in how people get started off on the right foot. And then Cape Cod Healthcare, it's important to the entire community. And this year we're excited that the past 2 years we've donated to their emergency centers, which are now open and beautiful. And this year we're focusing on the Heart and Vascular Institute, which really affects a lot of people here on the Cape.
Well, let's bring in our other guests now and have them talk about their organization. Kamar Choice is one of the groups that is going to be benefiting this year from the Seaside Le Mans, the race for the Cape Cod community. We introduced our two guests before as we got underway. Fiona Jensen is the executive director, and David Troutman. And David and Fiona, again, welcome back in.
Thank you.
Fiona, it looks like you're lining up to the mic first to give me a little bit of an overview. Let's talk about Kamar Choice, please. Tell us what the effort, or tell us what the initiative in the program is all about, please.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank these Davenport Companies for having us as a beneficiary and for you having us in here. So Kamar Choice is an organization that, as Beth said, brings mindfulness-based inner resilience programs into the public schools. And interestingly, we started back in 2010 thinking that we would target the high school students, which we still do work with high school students. But what we realized early on is that these were skills that could and should be taught to the younger people. And so our primary focus right now is pre-K through 6. And what's really interesting is, little did we know 5 years ago when we started that there was going to be a call for action from the community around issues around substance abuse, and that we are really lined up as being a primary prevention program because we work with every single child in a school, in a grade level, so that we're getting the kids before they get to that point where they might possibly have some issues. It's also, it's not just for that piece, it's about cultivating happiness and kindness and generosity and perspective. There's a lot that goes into the lessons that we teach in the schools. I'm
looking at a story that we wrote for our website, capecod.com, earlier in the spring, and some of the latest numbers, and they're probably even larger than this right now, but you've helped over 5,500 children in 18 schools. It's pretty much still on track with that number?
That's on track until we start this year, and the number will go up. Mm-hmm. So I think this school year alone, we're poised to be working in over 140 classrooms, from Falmouth, which is the latest district to come on, all the way up through Nauset. We have, on a weekly basis, I get emails from teachers in other schools that we're not working on. So really, it's a matter of building our capacity, both instructors and also financially, to be able to sort of fly this plane that's in the air.
Fiona, let me bring in your board chairman, David Troutman. David, thanks for being with us again today. What do you see as the mission of Kamar Choice? Why is this an important organization here for the Cape?
Wow. Ultimately, I think it's a matter of starting early to help fix some of the problems that already exist in our culture today. There's no doubt between technology, between the breakdown of the family. There's any number of reasons we point our fingers at. The fact is there are a lot of ills in society, and by starting a little bit earlier, hopefully we make a better tomorrow.
It really has become timely. Fiona was talking about the timing, either fortunately or unfortunately, with this just scourge of heroin and opiate addiction we've seen, and how it's really just kind of filtering into the school, and how an organization and an effort like Kamar Choice can really try to work on that in changing behaviors or making sure behaviors don't go down that road in the future.
Clearly, we're trying to develop coping skills and before they're needed.
Now, what do you see as the long-range vision for Kamar Choice? You're here, as we said, the number about 5,500 children, 18 schools. You're going to be getting some money from the folks in the Davenport Companies, obviously, from the Seaside Le Mans. So what's the long-term vision for Kamar Choice here on the Cape?
Well, ultimately, we'd love to saturate the entire Cape with our programs, although we don't want, in the long term, to be the one providing the service. Ideally, we go into the individual schools, and over several years, we try and create a change in the culture, hand over our curriculum to the school system, and allow them to continue it on in the same way that we would bring in something like physical education. It should be just a part of the everyday program.
What drives you, David, to be involved as the board chair for this?
Wow. A lot of reasons. I certainly employ a lot of people who I think would have benefited from this sort of thing years ago. People that suffer from a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety that comes out in a lot of different ways.
So obviously you're excited about this race. Are you guys getting into cars, by the way, Fiona and David? Are you going to jump into an F1 and go racing around the track?
That would be kind of scary, but I might actually, as Beth said, with the volunteers, I may actually do that on the first. I would probably not be a great race car driver. Yeah,
David?
I don't know about David.
Are you getting behind the wheel?
Well, I know the opportunity for the volunteers will happen on September 1st, and I'll probably jump in then, but not during the competition itself.
A little Dale Earnhardt Jr. in you, you know. Always turn left, right? You turn left in NASCAR. That's all you do. But in this course, you're turning left and right, Beth? We're not just turning left like NASCAR. The course is pretty varied throughout Mashpee Commons.
Well, it goes in an oval, right. Kind of a few tips and turns around there, but yeah.
Now, what do you think it is, and any four of you can jump in, maybe for Beth or for DeWitt, events kind of come and go on the Cape. You know, DeWitt, as you mentioned, I've been involved in a lot of different organizations helping to raise money over the years, but it's tough to have staying power for a charity event that not only continues successfully each year, but continues to grow. So, and your company's been involved in many charities over the years, DeWitt. So what's the staying power behind this, do you think? Is it just fun? What do you think it is?
We put fun in philanthropy. There's no question about it.
Wait a minute. How do you spell philanthropy? I'm not sure about that, DeWitt. Got to check your spelling. But yeah, so tell me. So it's really about creating an event that obviously it's doing a lot of great work, but it obviously has a fun factor.
It has a fun factor. Plus, it brings awareness to organizations on the Cape that are doing a tremendous amount of good in a very quiet way, and the importance of supporting these organizations so that we can enjoy life here and work here on the Cape and make our visitors really feel welcome.
You know, with the interest that your company has, I'm sure that many of the people, you know, that you've been helping out either maybe work for you or, you know, people that are involved in all your companies. So it's probably helping your own. It's really giving back to the entire community.
It is. Just a quick little story. Sure. Every now and then I end up going to the grocery store, and someone will point to me and say, "You're the Seaside Le Mans man." I said, "Yep, but I do have a name," and I introduce myself.
You must be driving your grocery cart really fast.
Usually when I'm in the grocery store, it's a very short experience.
We're quickly running out of time for our segment, so Beth, I will go to you to give us the essentials here of what people need to know, either still getting involved, if you'd like to put a team together. Last year, by the way, Cape Cod Commercial Linen Service and E.J. Jackstimer were first place. Are they coming back, do you think, to defend the title?
They are coming back to defend their title.
Chevrolet Anderson A&E Forms was second, and CC Construction and PCAM Contractors was third. Are they all coming back?
They're all coming back. And we also have some new additions to challenge them.
So what do people have to do? Either, number one, if you want to still get involved, and just obviously also for spectators as well.
Right. So seasidelemans.org is our website, and that has all of the information, and my contact information is on there if someone is interested in becoming a sponsor or a driver, or even a volunteer. And as far as spectators, we encourage everyone to come. It's a free event to watch. So bring the kids, bring the whole family. It's definitely a racing type experience. You can watch from outside the track, or you can go over the bridge and watch from the infield. You can stop by the different tents of the different businesses who are sponsoring and driving to check out friends or family that might be participating. We are lucky enough to have Congressman Keating as our Grand Marshal this year, and so he's going to be kicking things off a little before noon. We have an honor guard. We have a flyover planned for the opening ceremony, some live singing. And then throughout the day, there's plenty of kids' activities. In addition to the race itself, it runs from noon till 4. And then we have an awards ceremony at the end. But we encourage everyone to come out. It's a fun day. Mashpee Commons is a great host, and you'll have a chance to check out all the new shops and restaurants.
Sounds good. We are out of time. I'd like to thank you all for stopping in. Beth, DeWitt, Fiona, and David, thanks so much for stopping by. The Seaside Le Mans Race for the Community, September 12th. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for being with us today on this segment of the Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.